Yeah. Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix podcast live show, or at least for about 15 minutes till we switch over to a Grawlix podcast episode.
Yeah.
I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Hey, everybody. What's going on tonight? I hope you're having a great time.
Mm-hmm. I made my niece into a knight this morning because she was signing up for her instrument in school, and she's like, what should I play, a clarinet or a saxophone? And I'm like, saxophone, come on.
Yes.
She got to choose sax? That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, she gets good. We could have her redo our little saxophone thing, and then we could use that theme song because it wouldn't be like a attribution thing.
Right, right.
Child labor, woo!
Yeah.
That's right. We're going a little later. We're starting a little later than usual because we recorded, or we didn't record. We just did basically an off mic 30-minute Grawlix episode. Yeah. We were just talking. We were just talking about all kinds of things. So we probably can't dilly dally too long before we get to the Doctor Who talk. But first, how are you two doing?
Groovy.
Doing all right. Doing all right.
Cool.
Working for the weekend.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Isn't that how the song goes?
I don't want to work. I want to bang on the drum all day. That's that one? That one? Oh, the other one.
Yeah, that one. No, that one. That's the one I was thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly that. Yep.
I don't even own a drum.
Everything is a drum. Sorry.
Everything is a drum.
Oh, you're right. Everything's a drum.
I gotta watch, dude. I want to watch that right now.
I know.
Every time I have to look up that.
So good.
Look up that skit. Man, I wish. I'm guessing the Netflix series. We're talking about Auntie Donna. I'm guessing the Netflix series, Auntie Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun, didn't do amazing because they didn't come back for another season, which is so unfortunate. I don't think so. I mean, they've since done Auntie Donna's Coffee Cafe or something, but that's been like restricted to Australia, because it was for their they're basically Australia BBC. I don't know what it's called. IBCB. I don't know what it is.
So you'll need like a VPN to even see it?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Right, yeah. And I just didn't want to mess with doing that. But I do want to see that sometime. There's clips of it online, but...
Homelander is his pet. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That whole thing was so good. I mean...
Their humor is like... It's like they drive they're so hammy that I hate it until they flip it, and then it makes everything
dark.
Yeah, it makes everything worth it. It's the everything's a drum. It's like so goofy and stupid, and then it gets serious, and it's like, oh, they're acting like there's some acting going on. Like,
right.
That's acting, sucker. And then like he's punching a hole through a wall, and it's just so good. It's so good. Or Morning Browns. It's everything's a drum, and then I have to follow that up with Morning Browns, which is not as good, but it's still fun. Anyway, they have a very particular
Cowdoy.
Yeah.
Cowdoy.
It's like, how do you get away with that? I don't know, but
Cowdoy is the best.
Hard not to laugh at that. Like, it's funny.
We're coming up at the end of the year. I wonder if they're going to do a big special Christmas Pud video again.
Yes.
There's always room for more Christmas pud.
I can't believe they made that into a children's book. Ugh.
They made it into a legit children's book.
That's awesome.
And I think they cleaned it up where because I think the original skit had some F-bombs. They cleaned it up.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
But that they recorded a video, like a well-produced video of a well-known Australian author lady, I think, reading this children's book. It's so funny, man. Anyway.
They kind of feel like a throwback to Monty Python in a way because they're this comedy troupe, and it's sketch-based, A
comedy troupe with a very distinctive voice and always on. Like, they have a podcast, and it's insane to listen to and or to watch because they'll post clips of it online on YouTube, and it's just the most absurdist stuff. And so, yeah, you're right. You're dead on with that. That's not what we're talking about.
Who knew, man? We're just setting the vibe for throwbacks.
You're right.
Yeah.
Speaking of throwbacks, or not, what you guys been watching? Consuming anything interesting this last week or so?
Well, I watched The Flash.
You watched The Flash.
I watched The Flash. We'll probably put a pin in that, though.
Right. We resubbed to Max until they decide to start putting breaking news alerts during the shows. But we resubbed to them so we could watch Doctor Who, which we'll be talking about. And I noticed The Flash was on there. Right. But I just resubbed yesterday. Otherwise, we'd have tried to fit that in too. But yeah, so probably next week, maybe. Well, probably maybe. Definitely.
Definitely possible.
Definitely possible. That's such a weird, like, there was so much hype, and I guess it was like mixing with the like Ezra Miller news cycle and then just like marketing machine. There was like so much hype, and it like had drawn on, like it survived the merger reshoots, and then it came out and like
I think it's just a maelstrom of weird circumstances to the point where nobody cared anymore.
Yeah, like just nobody was talking about it.
Because I think if this thing had dropped way back when it would have been relevant, it would have been at least as big as Justice League or bigger. I feel like it's better on the whole than Justice League was, but it suffers from the same kind of like rushed CGI, not quite greatness, that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah,
like,
it's
so much of it is CGI. Like they could not afford to make this movie.
Right. I'm interested to watch it though. Yeah. I don't know. There's probably a million business and marketing lessons to be taken from just how the DCEU basically started crumbling from the moment it like took a step,
keeps
right?
Tripping over itself.
Right.
I blame it all on Ben Affleck.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. That reminds me, we don't have a Snyder watch, but I keep seeing headlines about his upcoming movie. Oh, what's it called? Something Moon, Empire Moon or something. What is it? Hold on.
Is it
I'll
Sucker Punch? The Snyder Cut.
No, I did see something about that, but no, what is it? Rebel Moon. It's gonna be on Netflix. The most recent headline I seen was that so there's gonna be like a PG-13 cut or whatever, but then also they're gonna release a 3-hour long director's cut, which is R-rated, and the debate was like, the purpose of a director's cut is usually because a studio is not happy with their vision. They want to cut together a movie theater audience friendly version, usually whatever they feel will make it more marketable or profitable. And then maybe if the director's lucky and they care enough, they'll get like a director's cut on DVD or something for the purists. But since this is a Netflix thing, it's totally unnecessary to have a different cut. Like, on
This
this.
is like having Deadpool 2 and Once Upon a Deadpool.
Yes.
But also, like, backwards. Like the other way around. Like, we're going to release the PG-13 version first, and if you really like it, you'll get a really long version.
Right. It's
or maybe it's like when you release an anime and then like two episodes in, you release the live action version of the same thing.
Yeah, Netflix did that. They must have. What is it? Dom 100. Wonder what that's riffing on. But Bucket List of the Dead is the subtitle. They must have went all in on that manga, bought up the rights because they started releasing the anime episodes, and they were doing. I don't know what they're up to now, but they're doing a weekly release on this instead of just dropping the whole season. But like 2-3 episodes in, they also then released the live action movie of it.
Crazy.
My suspicion is they're like, we want to do these live action because that's a great double dip or something, right?
Right.
But if we wait too long to where the anime series has a strong following, the live action's doomed to fail. This is my theory. So what if we drop them both at the same time, and then nobody can complain that it's a live action remake of anime? It's its own thing. I don't know.
Goodness.
It's a pretty weird decision. And I don't know. For one, the anime, it's a recommend. The animation is fantastic.
Is it the Death Note of it all? Like, are they just like, remember Death Note? We waited too long.
Maybe. I mean,
Death Note was going to be a live action. Death Note is not going to work.
I was to say, it wasn't that they waited too long. It's that it was ill-conceived.
Yes.
That's kind of not that. And maybe I'll eat my words because One Piece dropped today. One Piece dropped today. I started watching the first, I forgot it dropped till 7:30. So I watched maybe 10 minutes of it. I don't know what to think of it. I know people were super hyped about it, but I did not. The trailers had the opposite effect on me. They had a chilling effect on me. Not
right.
Not chilled.
Right.
As opposed to hyping me up, they kind of had the opposite effect. I was like, because it looked. The best YouTube comment is that it looks expensive and super cheap at the same time. The sets look amazing, but something about the production looked off. I don't know. I think
it looked like what I didn't watch it, but what I imagine the live action Dora movie was like. It looked like that to me.
I think the problem with anime is when they try to. Could be wrong, but when they try to make it too close to the live action anime, when they try to make it too close, you kind of have to. I don't know. You kind of have to ground, at least visually, ground things a little more. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like how superhero movies got their foot in the door once they hit big, and I'm talking was it 1999 X-Men, where colorful suits, nope, they're just going to be leather onesies or whatever, leather jumpers, and we're going to keep it relatively grounded. The effects aren't going to be too crazy, so that general audiences they can grasp, or not that they can grasp it, but they won't just reject it because it looks silly. Mm. And then after 20 years, then you can look silly. It doesn't matter. Everything's CG anyway.
Sure.
But I don't know. I almost feel like maybe live action anime needs to be a little bit more grounded before they go crazy.
I feel like it's the Disney problem too. It's you can go from a manga to a live action and you could probably pull it off, right?
Right.
But if you go from a manga to an anime, now we have a visual, a motion visual, but it's animated, so you can do anything, right? Mm-hmm. And then you go to live action, and now you've got to pull it back. So it's why do we need a live action Beauty and the Beast? It's not going to be better.
Right.
Why do we need a live action The Lion King? Because lions can't talk anyways, so it's not truly live action.
That's right. And also, it's not live action if pretty much the entirety is CGI.
Right.
Like that's not live action. By that argument, like a lot of the Marvel movies are predominantly animated films, but
Sure. But they're based off of a written text, not necessarily a cartoon. Like,
Right.
they didn't take, like, X-Men, the 90, like the Fox cartoon, and then turn that into a movie.
yes,
They went to the comic books, and they pulled source material and adapted it.
I think you nailed it. There's not. It works better when you don't have a pre-existing frame of reference in terms of motion visuals. You're right, because if you're going to adapt an anime to live action, or even adapt a manga that's already like a popular anime, I was saying, you need to reel it in, but then you're going to no doubt disappoint the fans who are like, this is very blah. Like, why would we watch this versus the anime? The anime is amazing. Or you try to match the anime, which is what I think a lot of Netflix stuff tries to do, and you can't. It's just different. It's a different like visual language you have to deal with.
Or you could just make something original. Oh my gosh,
Right.
God.
Or
but
you
that's-
have to change it so totally, like the
Right.
Ninja Turtles. The Ninja Turtles were dark and gritty in the comics. They were super light and goofy in the cartoon, and then they brought back some of that dark and gritty when they did the original live action Ninja Turtles movie.
The bucket list of the dead thing, where they basically like launched the animated series, the anime, and the movie, the live action at the same time. It's an interesting decision, but ultimately, like, we were several episodes into the anime. I noticed that was on there, so we watched the trailer, and I'm like, the animation is amazing. Why would we opt to see the same story in a blander presentation?
Right.
I mean, I guess if you want to cram the story in a shorter time, but it's like Netflix anime series don't necessarily have, speaking of One Piece, like they don't have the same issue of like artificially the Dragon Ball issue of artificially stretching things out because they're trying to like keep on a weekly schedule, but also like they have to wait for the manga then to catch up. One Piece, the anime is horrible about that. We've switched back over to a fan edit because I couldn't take the pacing anymore. Like if we're going to keep watching the anime, but I'm assuming with Netflix anime, like for a Netflix production, which I think is what these bucket list of the dead shows are, I don't think they have to worry about that. I mean, in worst case scenarios, they have to worry if they're going to get past 1 or 2 seasons because it's Netflix.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a whole new set of problems there.
Right. Mm-hmm. Anyway. And we've been watching Venture Brothers. Venture Brothers is great.
I watched Cocaine Bear, too. That was the other
Did
thing.
you?
I watched Cocaine Bear and Tropic Thunder while Holly was out of town because I knew those were 2 movies that Holly could care less about.
Yeah.
I think... Wait.
Did you
What'd
hear her?
she say?
She said actual fact.
Tropic Thunder, I think we talked about last week.
Yep.
But we did not talk about Cocaine Bear.
Yeah,
How
I
did
forgot
that strike
about
you?
I forgot about Cocaine Bear.
How could you forget about Cocaine Bear?
I don't know. It's pretty intense,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not like super deep on. It's not super deep on the plot. It's just like, all right, I guess we're going over here now. Oh, there's a bear. He might kill this guy. Oh yeah, he killed him.
Once or twice, it's like, oh. But other
Oh
than
yeah,
that,
man.
it's
That
just,
they were graphic.
Yeah.
It's tonally such a weird movie because
It is.
it's super kind of goofy. Like everything is played for laughs, and then you get extreme gore, and it's like, what, what,
Yeah.
whiplash.
Yeah, and then you got like what the park ranger gal, and then like the super duper like almost PETA like animals are the best, like that guy, and then you got these weird like sorta punks
Yeah.
and is just weird.
It's a fun
Entertaining
movie.
though. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's fun. It's entertaining. It's super violent.
It's like a fun, like it knows exactly what it is. It's a fun, trashy, but not necessarily sleazy. It feels like a B grade movie, but it's actually got a budget, you know?
The closest, like my brain keeps going to this, like, what's the closest thing to it that I can imagine? And I think it's Murder Party.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I see that. I see
Because
that.
it's like extreme, kind of funny, kind of weird.
It's full of
like,
weird
yeah.
character. Like most of the humor isn't necessarily jokes. I mean, although
Yeah.
like, you know, the bear eventually when the like
When the
animal
bear's like doing
animal lover-
lines. Yeah.
yeah, like it gets pretty goofy. But
Yeah.
most of the humor just comes from like weird, quirky characters.
Right.
Yeah. That guy and his dog.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah. Yeah, even the cop, yeah. Or the detective or whatever.
I think you're. Are you talking, Melanie?
Do we lose Melanie?
Did we lose you?
Loading or whatever.
Oh, she's
Okay,
back.
there you are.
Yeah.
Weird.
Sorry.
It's okay. Hey, let's move on to Doctor Who because we need to do that
Yeah.
because these are some episodes.
Oh yeah.
All right. Whoops, hit the wrong button. Well, Grawlix Nights will be back shortly. Until then,
After a word from the Grawlix podcast.
a word from the Grawlix podcast. Also, check out StreamYard. I put the text in the YouTube video. There's text in the video description. If you are looking for a streaming service, check out, you want to stream.
And since we're doing the pimpage here, did you notice that there is a like video and audio production humble bundle? And I believe Acid Pro is part of that bundle. That's the only
What?
one that I like legit knew, and I knew you had experience with. But
Yeah.
like, it just dropped like either today or yesterday, and I was like, oh, we should probably mention that on the show because
It is Acid Pro 10. Oh my gosh. Dude, Acid Pro was my main music DAW for... I mean, it was well into, like, that's what I cut... I learned to edit podcasts with that. But I
Right.
used it for music since, like, Acid Music 2.0 or something around 2000, early 2000s. And then I rocked Acid music programs till Acid Pro 7 before and when I finally jumped off Acid Pro 7, it was pretty old at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That property has exchanged hands. Like for a while Sony owned it, and now somebody else owns it. Who is it? Magix, I guess, owns it. Like Acid Pro 10. Man, I might have to pick that up just to get a current version of Acid, even though
if you do, you should go to grawlixpodcast.com/humble.
Wow. Well, yeah, I should. Grawlixpodcast.com/humble. I bet that's an affiliate link that we might get a small kickback that, you can decide to kick us back more or less. That's fine.
Yeah.
But we might be a humble partner.
And there's all sorts of other humble bundles on there that you could check out that probably involve comic books. There's a fair amount of RPG and even some great RPG based fiction right now. There's a lot of cool bundles out there, but that one really sparked my interest because of what it entailed: video and audio editing software. I wonder who likes that.
Man. Acid Pro.
I just derailed us again.
I tell you what, like, okay, Ableton, whatever. That's like the go-to for like sample-based if you're into manipulating samples or doing sample-based music. But Acid was so good. Like, most modern DAWs take something called an acidized waveform. You can save things as acidized waveform. And that came from Acid Music or Acid Pro. because, like, yeah, it handled samples really well. Anyway, moving on. Nobody cares. Thanks for that, though.
Yeah.
Good
The point
call.
is, check it out.
Point is, Humble Bundle, grogspodcast.com/humble. And they have lots of other stuff, too. However, oh, it's so loud. Every time I see that, I'm like, I think of that Godfather meme of Brando, and it's like, look how they massacred my boy. The bitrate on that video is just destroyed. I put some time into that. It looks so pretty, the original raw file of it. Anyway, in the future, we will only use 25-year-old music DAWs to produce music.
Your name is Randy?
Hey, my name is Randy. And my name is Randy. Wait, my name is Randy. Okay. That's for the edit.
Yeah, sorry. I'm Melanie, and in future, everything is chrome.
Shiny and chrome?
Sure, why not?
Witness me.
Yes, witness me. And I'm Jesse, and in the future, Thursdays can left turn.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Grawlix Podcast, episode number 99.007 or 8 or 9. Because I'm a couple episodes behind. Hey.
Or 10, because of the 10th Doctor.
You're right. 99 point Donna.
Yeah, I like that. Episode title.
All right, here's what we're talking about on this episode. We're talking about, of course, we're continuing our adventures with the 10th Doctor and Donna Noble. Revisiting Doctor Donna era to get pumped for the very soon upcoming 60th anniversary specials, in which, whatever. If you're a Doctor Who fan, you know what's happening. We watched more episodes of the show, and we're going to discuss them, specifically Midnight and Left Turn, which is an interesting pair of episodes. Let's jump right into it.
Both Russell T. Davies, right?
Ooh, good. I know Left Turn for sure was.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
left.
Yeah, both RTD got the writing credit on both of these.
Okay.
Yeah. And they were both apparently filmed at the same time, which makes sense because Midnight is a very Donna light. She's like bookends. She's in the opening and the closing, but that's it. And Turn Left is a similarly very Doctor light. He's in the beginning and end, and otherwise not in it at all. So I think they filmed these both at the same time, which is clever. But, the Doctor's clever.
I was
That's
say,
what he says.
he's Mr. Clever. Oh, wait, that's something else.
I love that, his whole, I'm clever thing became a point of conflict in this episode. They're like, well, how do you know? And he's like, because I'm clever. And they're like, says who?
Right? Yeah, sounds like something a villain would say.
Like, in saying that, he about got himself murdered.
Right, yeah. I was surprised how much I liked this one on rewatch, because in hindsight, I was just like, oh, this one,
Really?
Yeah, just based on my memory of it, I was just like, oh, this is kind of a garbage throwaway episode. But rewatching it, I really liked it because it really builds interesting tension throughout, and the threat is super creepy. And the Doctor ostensibly doesn't beat it.
No. The Doctor almost gets murdered, and there would have been nothing he could have done to stop it. I mean, it's a frustrating episode towards the end, but I like this episode a lot. It's so. In case you don't recall, Midnight is the episode in which Donna's at the spa or the pleasure dome. I don't remember what they call it. The pleasure palace, whatever it is.
2 men enter. Donna leaves.
One Donna is satisfied. Wait, that's maybe a little far.
Wrong dome.
So it's basically the Doctor on his own. He wants to take it. They go to like a spa basically on some planet where it's, I can't remember what they call it, they call the atmosphere, but it's like just you can't stand outside at all. The sun will burn you alive. You'll just be vaporized.
And the planet is called Midnight for whatever.
Planet
reason,
is called
right?
Midnight. Yeah.
It's made of diamond or something.
Yeah, diamond crystals and but so Donna's not really in it. She stays at the spa, and the Doctor's like, "Well, I want to go watch this Diamond Falls or whatever," and so he takes a bus ride essentially over there, and the whole episode happens. It's a bottle episode. It happens on this like space bus. They're not in space, but this whatever it is, this bus type thing, and it eventually gets stranded. They can't open the doors, they can't open the windows, and there's some kind of creature. And it does. It goes into horror territory for sure. Especially with the way like the creature infiltrates. I think that's maybe one of the, other than the fact that I'm partial to a well done bottle episode, because it feels like a siege movie, right? Like, you know, you're trapped in this small space. So the whole thing takes place in one location, and those types of stories inevitably are more about the conflict between the characters than it is whatever's attacking them. I mean, it's like a good zombie movie where the best zombie movies are rarely like the zombie's not the central threat. The zombies are the catalyst to put humans in the position to be the central threat. And that's what this feels like, except the way it infiltrates the whole is super cool.
Yeah, and creepy.
I like the way that it infiltrates, but other than that, I actually don't really care that much for this episode. But that's because I am not a fan of conflict. I don't like the 12 Angry Man scenario. I don't need that. It's not my thing. And I really think it's cheap that the first person that's like, let's kill somebody, is the first person that's going to sacrifice themselves. That's crap. That's lazy.
No, I thought that was
like it.
I thought that was interesting because it makes. No, you're right, because the lady who's first like throw him out the door, like the first one that really starts to rile the murderous impulse of the panicked crowd, like ends up being the one to be like, oh, no, I see what's actually happening, and sacrifices herself. I think that's more interesting than like if it was somebody who was sensible the whole time.
Well, and the thing that redeems it, if it is the fact that she doesn't even have a name. Where he's just like, does anybody know what her name was? Like, we don't even know.
I just don't see somebody being that selfish and selfless at the same within the same episode. I don't buy that quick of a turnaround in a character unless there was something more than what is going on. Because there's no reason for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand your logic there, because it is kind of like, I think it's interesting, but it's interesting in a like not necessarily realistic kind of writer contrivance way. It's interesting thematically, but it's not necessarily realistic.
Well, and also the bizarrety of whatever this creature was, you know, like we don't find anything out about it, but it almost is implied that the creature was riling them up into this kind of frenzy or whatever.
Well, I can see that when more people started jumping on, but I didn't think that initially that was the case.
Right.
Yeah, my interpretation of it is that, yeah, at first it was probably just like, I guess, observing, and that's part of the repeating thing. until everyone started really getting riled up. And then it's like, oh, I can direct this group, control this group through this. And then it focused on the Doctor to like shift focus from itself or whatever to him until I get that the people were panicked. It is a little frustrating that like they're so dumb. Like, and I get whatever. They're all panicked. Even the kid, who they kind of set up as might be like kind of a smart, the kid, as Melanie said, the 30-year-old kid.
Right. Yes.
There's 30-year-old teenager on this trip.
Which she's not going to be working for that guy anymore.
Oh, right. And the professor or whatever and his assistant. No, she better not. Or her, even her. It set her up as it set a couple people up as this. They're going to be the sensible ones, but they don't. They end up just going along with. I mean, they might like have kind of some like she ends up having some disagreement about throwing both this woman and the Doctor out the door to their death, but she still kind of fuels it at the same time.
Right.
I don't think that anybody, once it got to be the two of them, I think they were both in agreement. But when it switched to just him, then some people started disagreeing.
Right.
But that, I don't know.
It is a little on the. I enjoyed. See, this is where something like. I couldn't picture this, even though it's not perfect, and it is a bit on the nose. And what I'm getting at is like where they hit on like people seeing what they want to see, or like fictionalizing their version of reality to make themselves feel better about a thing, which they really hit on hard with the wife. There's a couple, the wife, but especially when they're like, it transferred from her to him. I seen it, but there was no visible thing. And she's like, that's not the assistant lady's like, that's not what happened. You didn't see anything. I'm like, you seen it, didn't you? And they're like, yeah, no, I seen it. It's a little like on the nose with that, but I was thinking about the Chibnall era, and I was like, I don't think the Chibnall era could have pulled that off, because they would have went so on the nose. Like RTD,
yes,
not that RTD is necessarily known for restraint.
It's not particularly subtle, no.
But when it comes to character, like he just does characters so well, even though like it'll be a little ham-fisted occasionally, but he just handles it so much better than, I don't know. I feel like Chibnall era wouldn't even be interested in that kind of conflict. That'd be so surface level. Whereas this is like, and it's obviously the point, but it's the point of this story is the group panic thing. That's the real villain is group panic, group fear, or whatever you'd call it, mass hysteria.
Yeah, and I think that for me, almost the most interesting thing about it is like the first time that I watched this, I was binging through, and this just seems like a pretty mediocre episode when you stack it next to what came before it and what comes after it, right? And so it can get lost very easily. It is a nothing episode. It doesn't impact too much. And yet also it's like a crazy threat. We don't know anything. Even at the end of the episode, we know nothing about the creature. We don't know what its ultimate goal even was. Like, was it just going to steal everybody's voice until no one was left? Is that what it was going to do? And then it just goes off back into its world, and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I thought it wanted to just move, to be able to move and live and, not be a hard crystal or something, because it was talking about being cold and stiff and whatever. So I think it was just trying to be alive again, basically, or a better version of alive. I don't know, whatever. But one of the things, though, that I did kind of like, I'm trying to, it's slipped away from me, but I'm trying to remember what it was. Never mind, I lost it. Sorry.
Okay, maybe it'll come back to you.
Yeah.
And basically, what I'm getting at is like I feel like it got improved somehow on a rewatch.
Yeah.
Like just because we watched it like this, where we watched and also how I watched it. Like I watched it a couple days ago, and then I watched Turn Left today. So like I watched it on its own, and I appreciated it on its own.
Right.
And I hadn't done that in the past. In the past, I had probably gone straight from this episode to the next episode because I saw it was Turn Left, and I'm like, oh, we got to watch that one.
I remember the thing that I enjoyed about it was this is like one of the closest you ever see really to the Doctor actually being in danger, I think.
Oh, for sure.
And I appreciate, no, you're right. And I appreciate it because you definitely, because most of the time you're like, well, the Doctor can get out of anything. He's like invincible, essentially, because he's so smart. But in this, I kind of get the sense that like, he was about to be murdered, and even though
he couldn't have even regenerated, I don't think.
No,
like,
I
didn't get that. It was just like totally draining him.
And it wasn't like Grawlix. It wasn't some alien. I mean, the catalyst was an alien threat, but it wasn't some alien threat. It wasn't anything with a laser gun or anything like that. It was just a panicked group of people who were going to physically throw him out of this bus or whatever. It's like that's almost like his greatest weakness, because like you can't necessarily sonic screwdriver a person, and like you can't whatever shut down a cyborg's system. It's just a person. It's a group of people who are gonna pick him up and throw him out a door. And it's interesting that felt like what
he knows some martial arts. One of them did.
Sure.
Right,
Oh, yeah,
right,
yeah.
right.
Well, and this is almost like if the 10th Doctor had like a fear, I feel like this is it. Like he can't talk, he can't move, he's just there, and all he can do is repeat whatever this thing is saying.
The repeating is super. I'm sorry, what?
I said, yeah, he can't be charming.
Right. The repeating is super cool, and then it's catching up, and her just saying everyone, like, there's a log chunk towards the of this episode where all the dialogue that people are saying, she's repeating it, like she's saying it at the exact same time, so you get that like double voice thing the whole time. And then once she focuses on the Doctor and she gets ahead of ahead of what the Doctor's saying, it's such a super cool moment where like, wait, she said it first. And that's very cool. What is that power? Where then it incapacitates him, basically, and he's repeating her. Cool. Anyway. Yeah, I think this is... It being a bottle episode, and really in the greater whole, like, it doesn't tie into the next episode. It's not consequential. So that... Yeah, the way, like, what you were saying, Jesse, about how you watched it versus, like, binging through the season, where this is just, like, it's a detour. It really is just a detour. The Doctor takes a trip in one afternoon by himself, and this is the little adventure he got on.
It felt like a Big Finish audio.
Right.
It feels like almost the opposite of the next episode, too, because it's, like, a big thing for him, but kind of small for everybody else. And I wouldn't say Donna's thing is next little for her, but it kind of is. It just seems like it's all a bunch of big things that happen everywhere, and it just a little bit affects her, but it affects her, I don't know how I'm trying to explain it, but it seems the opposite. Like for him, it's a small little thing. For her, it's like a big, huge, like world or multiple world changing thing. You know what I mean? So that's interesting contrast.
Oh, for sure. I also appreciate, because we talked about, and definitely with the next episode, we talked about how Donna more or less just kind of gets tortured throughout this. Like almost every episode, she has some horrific, like emotionally scarring thing happen to her. Like I think these episodes followed immediately after the Silence in the Library and Forced to the Dead or whatever episodes, where she was in a virtual world and thought she had children and she was married, and it's like, oh yeah, no, your children aren't real, like,
Yeah.
And then so she takes a vacation So yeah, this one is like the Doctor's not getting out of it either.
Yeah.
He seems pretty I'm sorry, go ahead.
She probably got some horrible skin cancer, though, because you're not supposed to be in that sun, and she spent the whole time sunbathing, so.
But the glass is like 12 feet thick.
Right.
No, yeah, he would have been gone for at least 6, probably longer hours. I like how wrecked the Doctor was at the end. Like, he didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Also interesting. I mean, I guess technically he probably did save them a little bit, but really, yeah, he didn't save them.
No.
He didn't save anybody.
He didn't know anything about this threat.
He was almost, I mean, other than the people that died, he was like one of the biggest victims of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And everyone who lived is walking away from that emotionally scarred. And that, like, end bit before it cuts to, like, him meeting back up with Donna really kind of enforces, like, how kind of wrecked everyone is emotionally by it. It's interesting.
And this thing could tear the front of the vehicle off.
Right.
And then the rest of the time, it's just talking.
Right. It's super interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I appreciated, and I don't remember how I felt about this the first time, but my second watch through a while back, yeah, I like this episode a lot. So, Donna does not get traumatized, but the Doctor gets traumatized.
Yeah.
For her. So, that's where we're at there. Where would you put this? Where would you put this? Especially Jesse, Melanie, you didn't care much for the episode. I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll move on to the next one. But where would you put this then in the episodes we've watched so far? If you didn't think much of it before, but it maybe striked you a little better, do you think it stands out more, or do you think it's kind of too off on its own? It's
still its own thing, so I don't know that it... I mean, it gets bumped up for me. I may like it better than the finale now. I mean, like, I don't care much for the finale, though. Right. Even watching the trailer at the end of this next episode, I was like, oh, this one.
It's interesting. They kind of redo that. They kind of use a similar premise for one of his, like, the 3 specials after Donna leaves the show.
Oh, yeah.
Where he meets up with that thief girl or whatever, but he's on the bus ride and the bus breaks down or something. I don't remember the specifics.
Yeah. And then there's, like, weird insects that will just devour everything.
Another thing, I know we need to get off this episode, but another thing that I was thinking early on in the episode, because we basically get a montage of, like, the bus ride and him, like, chatting everybody up, and everybody's having a good time, getting to know each other. Ten is he's such a people person and an extrovert, and he seems to really enjoy it. And it's interesting, I was thinking about other doctors in that position. I think Matt Smith's doctor would have been similar, but only because he's bored. Ten genuinely seems interested in people.
Right.
And Matt Smith would just be like, kind of interested, but more maybe entertaining himself or passing time.
Yeah, 13 would be like that too, I think.
Right.
But 12, I don't know about Capaldi. Like, especially early Capaldi, no way. And even older Capaldi is like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if he could have sat still either. He's just like, why are we still here? I think we got tetchy about it.
Later Capaldi would have made him, if anything, he would have made himself the focus. Like, I feel like once he becomes kind of outgoing, the tank riding guitar player playing doctor that he becomes, like, he would definitely make himself the focus in some way. Early Capaldi is so antisocial. Yeah, interesting. I don't know. And then 9 had probably just kind of idly talked to... 10's like a party. Go to a party and wander around and talk to everybody. And 9's like intimate gathering type of guy. Right? Anyway. Do you agree, Melanie? Oh, she's
I think Capaldi would have just been mean to everybody and made everybody cry.
He might have. Pudding brains.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I don't know. That's part of what makes Doctor Who so good is like the fact that the Doctor does change. And when you get a Doctor that you really like, it sucks that they change. But
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
third
Especially when they
Doctor would
changed
have
it to somebody
totally.
lame. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Third Doctor totally would have made him cry, and that's what 12 was kind of based on. At least
Right.
loosely, you know.
third Doctor would have Venetian karate'd them or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it
he
is.
would have Venetian Aikido or whatever.
Yeah, that's what it was. I was trying to remember. Well, I kind of didn't expect to have as much to say about that episode. So let's move on to the next one. 'Cause this is a big one.
Yeah.
Turn Left. Which I don't know how I feel about it this time, but like at least on my last rewatch, this was like a standout. But then again, this also like ties into so many recent episodes in the series, going to like, I mean, really before Donna was companion. But this is the one where we get like the reveal of why occasionally people are like, "There's something on your back." It's because at some point, although why would they say that? Anyway, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's what I want for 60th anniversary. There was another thing on her back, and
We finally find out what that other thing on her back was. Well, even the man, I'm really jumping around, but even the like the way this is all established is that she walks into like a fortune teller's place, and the fortune teller is just like, "What are you?"
they're so like, okay, I love this episode. I think it's great, but there are some serious ham moments. The fortune teller at the end, "What are you? What will you be?" Like, who says that? No. What will you be? Like, bad foreshadowing, horrible. And that leads right into the exciting Bad Wolf, like, run out, and there's
God,
Bad
yeah.
Wolf on every text.
I forgot about this Bad Wolf thing too. It's
Dun
like,
dun dun
it was like,
dun
oh,
dun dun dun
no.
dun dun, and it's Bad Wolf,
RTD,
the camera zoom.
You cannot go back to the Bad Wolf well.
Don't. It's so cheesy. Like, why did the text change? Like, you could even just the Doctor like hearing that and having some like, "Oh, what?" Like, that's enough. That's enough. Like,
I
even
don't
if you want to do
remember
the
that.
music.
Maybe we'll find out in the next episodes that we watch, but like, I don't think that meant anything. It doesn't mean anything.
Bad Wolf, in the context that like Rose says it to Donna and Donna repeats it to the Doctor, in that context is fine, because that is something that for the most part only the Doctor would know about,
Right.
and he would know that only Rose knows about that, really. Right. And so, like, if Donna had just said it was Rose, like, the Doctor's, she's probably heard that name. But the fact that she would say it's Bad Wolf, like, would really drill home, like, oh, how she shouldn't know that.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't then change any text around them. Like,
And
that doesn't make any sense.
Like, just saying Bad Wolf set off the cloisters.
right. Yeah. That's when you have that's what happens when you have a serious realization.
Yeah.
Reality changes.
Or a math equation in Legopolis or whatever it was.
Right.
Like the first time that the cloister bell ever goes off, you're like, oh, the cloisters. Fourth Doctor with his 10-mile stare. Like, what are you talking about? Cloisters.
So yeah, she gets a bug that basically feeds off of like time energy, right? Or something.
Yeah. Or like
and
potential energy or something.
Yeah. And so
is this
somehow
a weeping angel?
I mean,
Is this like a weeping
kind
angel
of.
beetle?
It is very much the same thing. It's like the same premise, really.
Yeah.
Because like the weeping angels work by like They send somebody back in time and feed off the life that life
could have had.
that they could have had. And this is like the same thing where they have a person change a decision they made in the past, which changes reality, and they feed off of the whatever that could have been.
Like
maybe they feed off of all the demons that in other episodes of Doctor Who come out when you change the past. Maybe that's what they feed on.
Yeah, those things that happened in that one episode.
Right.
And I think maybe an audio drama or two, but otherwise is ignored, even though they're essential to the fabric of time travel.
Right.
And that bug was way too big. How was it just climb down onto the floor and wait a minute while she changes her clothes? Because it's always on the outside. It doesn't make any freaking sense, and I don't like it.
And it's eating her hair. It must just feed off of the soullessness of Ginger's.
Yeah.
Hey, she had red hair. That means she got a free fortune.
Free fortune telling.
I'm like, Donna, you're kind of dumb because this lady is trying way too hard to get you in her tent. Don't go in there. That's suspicious.
Lady's thirsty. Let's just leave it alone.
Yeah.
And then after that, man, all of her dealings with Rose, I'd be like, Rose, you are the most obvious bad ghost.
Yes, yeah.
Falling out of nowhere and then disappearing and not telling my mom where those car keys were in that other episode. That still bothers me. How's she gonna get a car?
Right.
Just all, here, take this ticket. You won. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go on that vacation. I wouldn't trust her.
No.
I kind of want, well, not now. It's too late, but I kind of want more dimension hopping. Basically, didn't she kind of become the other, a head of unit or some type of thing in the other universe or something? I don't know.
Yeah. Sort of.
Yeah,
she was sort of Martha Jones, but not.
Right.
And she couldn't tell anyone her name for some reason that was never truly explained.
Not even the unit people. How did... First off, the unit people, I think, probably have records on the Doctor. And Rose traveled with the Doctor for quite a while. They know who Rose is. But, how did she convince them to do any of this, yet never gave them her name? Weird.
Yeah. And how did they know to cannibalize the TARDIS and, all this other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of want more of this Rose because she is morally dubious. She does not necessarily,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You're going to die. And she's throwing 10th Doctor vibes out there I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm. But that was kind of a misdirect too, because it still did work basically the way that Donna said it was I'll die, but the other version of me will live or whatever. And that is what happened. So, sort of.
It's interesting. So again, super fast recap. Yeah, no, they have Donna, instead of turning left, which is where she at some point in her past, and that takes her to the path that eventually runs her into the Doctor and she becomes a companion. She's convinced to turn right, and that changes everything. And that changes everything, which is really the meat of the episode. But yeah, jumping back to Rose, I mean, there's certain key information that she intentionally withheld until the last minute. And it's yeah, no, you're gonna go. We're gonna send you back in time. Oh, this is a time machine. Yeah. Oh, cool. Is it gonna? It's gonna work. I don't know. By the way, you're gonna die. You're gonna have to kill yourself or something. Bye.
Right. We know
shady.
exactly where to send you to, and we know this bug has been on you for a long time because I just can't stop looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's. I don't know.
The Doctor dies, and we instantly have Nazis.
Yeah.
It's not instant. It takes a few other catastrophes.
Okay, it takes a couple of Christmas specials. It takes at least two Christmas specials, and then we have Nazis.
I love how ridiculously heavy and grim this episode gets. Donna's mom is a soulless husk before we even get to Nazis. She just 1,000-yard stare the whole time, just dead inside, and it's so good.
And then this episode reminded me that we will get Wilf for the last time, And here he is, just like,
I know.
he's just like, that's what they called him before.
Yeah.
That's pretty. First off, thick-headed, because she's like, "Oh, where are they gonna take you? But labor camp, but there's no jobs. Well, have fun." And meanwhile, Wilf is just crumbling behind her.
Yeah.
She's pretty thick-headed, but I kind of love that they take it to that extreme. So the doctor dies, so that like weird spider star kills a bunch of people, although that doesn't really seem to, like, I guess people then just shoot it down. That's fine.
Right.
The doctor's dead is the main thing there.
Yeah. I don't buy that.
He didn't have time to regenerate, Melanie.
He drowned it in himself, right? Like he just kept going and drowned it himself.
Yep.
Because he doesn't know how to swim?
I don't know. Yeah.
I like that. I like the idea. I mean, I like that it does touch on, like, Donna and essentially any companion he's with for a lot of his iterations is there to kind of hold him back. And we really touch on that with, like, Time Lord Victorious or whatever after she's gone. But, the whole thing is, like, she stops him from destroying the spider after he destroyed all of the spider babies. But if she's not there, he's just going to destroy the spider and himself. Just let it all crumble down.
I find it interesting that everybody always is just like, "You're weird, Donna. We don't know what's up with you. You're just strange. You before you were born, even, you were just been weird always." It's like, dude, there's more than one redhead in the world. Stop it.
What will you become?
What will you be?
Oh man, and her mom is just like, not only is she a soulless husk, but even as a soulless husk, she's mean. She's like,
she is.
Like, it's just like, I guess I've always been a disappointment. And she's like, yeah.
That's the one thing she says. Like, she just stares off blankly into space, dead inside, while Donna's talking at her, and then replies to that one thing.
Right.
Yeah. She's
So brutal.
Horrible.
Ugh.
I love how ridiculously the Jadoon on the moon episode happens, whatever, off screen, but like the doctor's not there. So the hospital gets taken and put back, and everyone except for one dude died. So Martha Jones is dead.
Right.
Turns out Sarah Jane was also there
Yeah.
and she died.
Yeah, with all of her friends.
Coincidentally, all the kids from the Sarah Jane
kids,
crowd,
yeah.
they're dead. I can't remember. I don't think it was that one, but there's some other catastrophe that happened because the doctor wasn't there. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was the Suntaran ship where they gassed the whatever. That happened, and Torchwood died.
All
Captain
dead.
Jack is trapped on the Suntaran homeworld now. Like, so
Right.
They couldn't just kill, like, the people that have been in the recent, like, people around Donna or the adventures Donna was. They had to kill all the spin-off characters too. Like, everyone's dead because you didn't go with the doctor.
And there's like just one guy in the writer's room that's like, but RTD, what about Torchwood? He's like, they're dead too.
They're dead too. Thanks for reminding me.
Thanks for reminding me. No, we gotta kill that one.
And then the ship, the Titanic 2 or whatever.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Like,
nuclear bomb explodes in taking out most of Europe, London, and which causes the refugee situation.
Right.
And also literally everyone Donna and her family knew are dead. So they do kind of hit on
what was the American crisis? I couldn't tell
the adipose.
Oh, that's right. It was the adipose, right? It was like, they're gonna save us. Nope, adipose, fat Americans.
The timing was so, like, if they didn't laugh while they were watching this, like the writers and RTD himself, like if they didn't chuckle to themselves, I don't know, because the timing is so funny where they're like, I think Wilf's like, the Americans, they'll save us. They said they're gonna send like something million pounds over or whatever, and it hard cuts to news: 16 million Americans dead. What? Yeah, they all melted because of the adipose, the fat monsters or what.
And then like while they're like all stuffed into that little room in Leeds, there's a soldier just shooting at a car.
The dumbest. Why did they call back to the dumbest thing in that episode?
I don't know. I'm like, wow.
The Atmos, where the soldiers are. Yeah, okay. The shoot at the muffler of the car. That's gonna stop the poison gas. So dumb. And then concentration camps. It's like, okay, RTD, we're ramping this thing up a bit.
Whew.
I think the biggest laugh. That's a segue. The biggest laugh of this episode was the maid or whoever at when they leave for Christmas with that ticket that Rose got to them somehow. The maid freaks out because she sees the bug or whatever on Donna's back. And then there's the explosion, which is I thought was a super cool sequence where like you see the news and the thing's crashing down, and then the news cuts and there's a beat, and then there's the rumble, which is super like that's scary. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And they go out and they see the mushroom cloud. And then Donna turns around and the maid's back there just like mean mugging her, pointing straight at her like a pod person.
Yeah. You've got a bug on you.
It's so funny. Oh.
Yeah.
That said, I love this episode. Donna gets wrecked. Donna is just destroyed. That scene where she is like, where they show her the bug and she is just losing it. It's like, yeah.
It's like, shut it off. Yeah.
Yeah. She got chops. It's pretty good. Mm-hmm. I thought.
It literally killed her.
Yeah.
That's that's how the show treats Donna. You're like the most important person maybe in history. Ignoring every other companion that will come after this because they're all the most important woman in history.
Some of them are literally impossible.
yeah, exactly. The flavors of like how Moffat will handle his companions with her. Man. Like they definitely set up her being like special and not just because she met the Doctor. She was always special.
Well, and Rose too. He turned her into Bad Wolf. Like she saw into the heart of the TARDIS and created a Jack Harkness out of it.
You're right. Rose needs to be canceled.
Yeah.
But I forgot what I was even gonna say. Oh, but yeah, so she's the most important. But but it's also Donna. So you have to save everything by literal suicide. You have to kill yourself.
You must kill yourself.
God.
Yeah.
It is interesting though because it makes it less grim, and it's something Melanie touched on a little bit. Is the fact that Rose whispers Bad Wolf to dying Donna. But when we jump back to like everything's fine, Donna's back with the fortune teller. She remembers what dying Donna remembered or knew. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because if it was like, I think if they didn't have that, this would seem so much more grim.
Right. It'd be like a Rick and Morty episode where like, yeah, Donna's buried in the backyard.
Yeah.
This is the Donna. You're just the Donna that survived.
Also, they're going to have to identify that body at some point.
You're right, yeah.
It would be pretty good if at some point, randomly, there was like a
news report.
One-off, like, maybe the police, like, investigate, like, visit Donna's...
Woman identified as Donna Noble found dead in the middle of the street.
That would have been such a good, like, misdirect in the middle of the season that you never find out, and you're just like, what? It would, like, add such a weird... Maybe that'd be, like, hinting at it too much, but, like, add such a weird air of mystery and kind of menace or tenseness. Well, whatever. Or not. Or maybe it's too morbid, and they're like, no. This apparently, and I'm a little surprised because the scope of this episode feels kind of huge, but I think it leans heavily on stuff that we know happened and stuff that happens off screen a lot, because apparently this was the low budget episode of the season. This was a very low budget episode, and like originally I was reading on Wikipedia, RTD had written something about the TARDIS being on fire. And one of his producers or whatever had to remind him, be like, this is the low budget episode. We
you do this, we
TARDISes.
can't afford this ridiculous season finale of yours.
Right. And it makes sense because it is mostly, you know, I mean, that's a lot of Doctor Who, but it's not, you know, it's normal locations. It's not alien planets or crazy big sets. It's not a lot of action.
Footage.
It is reused footage, exactly.
Right.
So, but the scope still feels pretty big because, I don't know, the whole, like, refugee thing, like, they just sell it pretty well with minimal actual, like, on camera.
Yeah, those guys were all like the grips and the boom mic holders or something.
Right. Here, hold this fake gun and put on this soldier costume.
Now 5 rounds rapid, soldier.
Wilf is the greatest, though.
Yeah.
Melanie, do you like Wilf yet?
I like Wilf. I never said I didn't like Wilf.
Oh, okay.
He has a telescope. Of course I like Wilf.
You're right. I will say it's something that maybe, I don't know if it struck me this way this time, but if I was looking at the sky and visibly the stars started going out, that would truly be a horrifying experience.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where the sky just
what does that? You know, like, oh, well, yeah, we're dying. We're dying tonight.
It's not just the... and that also, though, goes to how ridiculously grim
right.
This episode is like, it's not just, okay, labor camps, you thought that was bad. How about this? The literal stars are blinking out of existence in front of your eyes.
And then the science part of me is just like, what would that do? You know, like all these points of gravity that are throughout the universe, just gone. It's gone.
Fine. We're gonna tow the Earth around behind a TARDIS.
Everything is
soon.
fine.
It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Is that during these finales where they're like towing the world behind the TARDIS?
Yeah, I think they tow a whole bunch of stuff back to the right universe or whatever. At least a world. Yeah.
This is prime, and especially like because like man, I really felt it during like so this had the Titanic fall and explode. But, like, in that special was another Christmas special who he had, like, that one-off companion lady that I really liked. That's where I felt like the show was just becoming ridiculous, trying to be, like, one-up itself constantly.
Right.
And blockbuster stuff where, like, that one had the, like, robots that look like angels, and they're like, raising the Doctor up, like literal space Jesus. But this is the height of RTD escalating nonstop to where the stars are going out. It's not just the end of the world. It's not the end of the universe. It's the end of all universes. All universes. It's the end of reality. And it's just like ramps up.
And you're like, how could they have possibly ramped up even more than Bad Wolf? How could they possibly have ramped up even more than... Martha spreading the legend of the Doctor to the point where the people's literal belief in the Doctor was enough to transform him from a small Dobby Doctor baby elderly man back into the Doctor and practically shooting energy out of his face.
But no, RTD's the one who's really good at character writing.
He's good. We love him. He's, he really doesn't miss a beat compared to old Chibnall or Moffat. So.
He's not going to be able... He's going to have a bigger budget now. He's not going to be able to contain himself. He's going to go off the rails.
He got Neil Patrick Harris. We're already screwed.
You're right. No, I'm super excited, but like RTD's era is not perfect. Tennant's last episode is abysmal. Like it's so bad.
It's so weird, and campy, and it's not without its awesome parts, but like that's the thing with RTD is he's got these bits of just awesomeness, and then he's got these other bits where it's just like, oh, he needed an editor too.
Yes. They go a little mad with power. And I'm sure, there is, especially with Doctor Who becoming, like, under RTD, Doctor Who really started to blow up. And then I think it, like, blew up worldwide during Moffat's era, which is interesting. But I feel like the attention had already started, and that kind of enabled, I'm assuming, maybe elevated budgets of Moffat's era. I don't know. Moffat's era looked really nice, though.
Yeah.
Like, his episodes always look pretty good. But I understand the need to, like, higher stakes. Especially, like, I mean, that's one thing about Chibnall. You didn't necessarily feel like he was trying to outdo himself every time. He was just doing what he was doing.
Well, at least until there were Timeless Children, and then it was like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah. And that, like, really condensed 6-part story that was supposed to be this big epic that was, like, just kind of ramshackle.
The Flux.
Yeah, that was a mess. All right, well, maybe I'm wrong. But I'm still super excited for RTD stuff. Something happened. Okay. I mean, at this point, you could say it out loud. It's okay. Because I then still have to stop and read a message.
Sorry.
I'm getting the wrap it up signal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm
Melanie.
No.
Wait, no, that's wrong.
We have to actually give this. How do you? Okay. Final thoughts on just this. We're down to what? 2 more episodes and that's it.
I think the trailer was for the finale, and the finale is a 2-parter.
And along the themes of, like, how much was Donna tortured? I think this was the most torture. She got a break for an episode, and then this last episode was just Donna torture.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because she was just like, the whole time is just like, there's nothing you can do, Donna. You're just the worst.
Yeah. Even your mom thinks so.
Yeah, right. Like, even when your mom can't say anything at all, she'll at least agree that you are the worst.
Yeah. Man, if it weren't for Wilf, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know how.
What
I
happened
don't
to her.
know how Donna would have panned out here.
She'd have turned right a long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Strong pair of episodes, in my opinion. These might be 2 of my favorites.
Yeah.
I feel like this is why I thought, like, going into this, I was like, this is the best season. And then we get into, like, the Santaran stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking. There's some stinkers in here.
Yeah. She's one of the best companions. We can give her that, but, like, best season, not all.
There's just
not all of
cool
it.
Stuff, but
it's like 2 great episodes, 2 kind of crap. 2 great episodes, 2 kind of, like, it just alternates between pairs of, like, really good and kind of misses.
Yeah,
but all right,
they took some risks, and it's been fun,
Yeah.
One thing about, like, something like this type of story, I think, although he's still setting up and leading into the big finale, but something like this kind of story where it ties in essentially the last 2 seasons worth of adventures, like, would potentially make for a much more satisfying than like season finale than going over the top with the reality collapsing and all that, But
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
well,
this
hey,
could have been a pretty good finale if they had just figured out how to make it the finale. Yeah.
Right. Great. Thanks everybody. Thanks for listening. Hey, live stream people will be on for about, I don't know, probably 5 more minutes after this. But I got to wrap up the audio episode. All right, if you enjoyed this, go to grawlixpodcast.com. It's GRAWLIX podcast.com. And also, hey, much more often than we post audio episodes, we stream pretty much weekly on Thursdays. So hit us up on social media, on pretty much any social media, except we're not active on X. Just throw a /Grawlix podcast.
Don't visit our X.
Yeah. Maybe he was thinking smart when he renamed it X.
Yeah. Just blame it on my ex.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bad Grawlix. Grawlix Wolf.
Grawlix Wolf.
Okay.
Let's see. Great Scott, your other self will miss the lightning bolt. You won't get back to the future, and we'll have a major Grawlix.
That's why her Grawlix is so big. It's full of secrets.
What's that actual quote? What is that?
It's that's why her hair is so big. It's full of secrets.
Oh, that's still weird. That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Hey,
Well, that
we're
was
back.
amazing.
It's Grawlix Nights, and we have amazing things for you.
Yeah. Real quick. Okay, what is amazing? I'll tell you. It's Alice rings. Finland and the U.S. have been collaborating on studies of distortions in quantum fields called topological monopoles. They're like half of a magnet, and they appear in the frothing of quantum fields, which sounds cool. Or you can actually make them in an ultra-cold Bose-Einstein condensate. So like freezing cold, like rubidium or something. So they created the first one that was ever observed in 2015, and since then they've been discovering other surprising findings. And this last one recently, they were watching these monopoles decay, and it turned into Alice strings, which it doesn't really say much what that is, except that they twist and then turn into Alice rings. And the cool thing about Alice rings is that any regular monopoles only last for a little bit. Alice rings last like 20 times longer, which is still only like 80 milliseconds, but still. And any other monopoles that are around and fall through the Alice ring flip and become the like mirror opposite of themselves, in like all ways. And I think that that's pretty freaking cool. And the researchers don't really know how they could apply these findings, but they still think it's an inspiration towards, the finding things out about the universe and whatnot. But really, it's same thing I said. That's just cool. So, yeah.
It's some kind of quantum object.
Yeah, it like they have these monopoles, which just means like half of a magnet, basically, like just a positive or just a negative, which doesn't occur normally. And then when those like twist themselves up into a circle, that's an Alice ring. And then anything that goes through that, like flips into reverse. But reverse, like if it's a positive, it becomes a negative, and it turns around
the
in
polarity?
direction. It does, yes, it does.
That's all you had to say.
They should have called it a doctor ring, but no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was cool.
Called the
Cool.
Pertwee ring. Yeah.
The
The Pert. It has a nice ring to it.
Change.org. Got to start a petition. Come on. Scientists ought to be able. Scientists be like, wait, what, doctor? Okay, yep, you're right. We should have done that.
What's it do? It reverses the polarity.
Yeah, but they were thinking through the looking glass, so that's why it's an Alice ring.
Gotcha.
And that's why they're dorks and not nerds.
Yeah. Or nerds and not geeks or something. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. Freaks and geeks.
All right. Amazing.
That was
amazing. Hey.
Yeah.
This was an episode.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We did it.
Let's end this. Let's get this over. Let's end this.
I will end you.
Jesse, got anything to mention before we bounce out of here? Got anything interesting coming up or anything like that?
Nothing that I can really put my finger on. Nope. Is there something on my back, though?
Well, no.
No, it's just a little Costner.
Oh, okay. That must be it.
That's why I'm always looking over your shoulder. Inexplicably, Kevin Costner's always there.
Montebello. Don't do that.
I also like that this silly like all on Z is what saved him in that episode. Anyway, hey, I uploaded a music video today. I don't know why, because Thursdays are proving to be a terrible time to do it, but I did it anyway. And I even though I knew that Mondays and Tuesdays
Thursdays can turn left.
Yeah, that's right. But it's a little janky, but I embrace the jank. It is all text to video. It's text to video AI. I put it together like a day or two.
I think it's fun. It's like breakdancing shape-shifty monsters.
Yeah.
See, now I want to see like your next video actually embrace the jank, and by jank I mean the Young Turks.
It's gonna be AI generated jank Uger.
Yes. Yeah.
Just being
it'll be like
old man.
Kind of like when Fatboy Slim did that thing with Christopher Walken, but it'll be
I love that.
jank and it'll be super
Dancing
science.
jank. Yeah. I think it's great.
And he could turn into like something from The Thing or some, I mean, like he could be a John Carpenter jank. That could be fun.
John Carpenter. Nothing. There's a few janks finer than a John Carpenter jank.
That's right.
That needs to be a song title.
Son of a Grawlix, I'm in.
So yeah, what is it? It's on Super Science Music on YouTube. So I think it's youtube.com/@supersciencemusic or whatever. Go to superscience.xyz. I haven't put a link to it yet on there, but I will, and you can get to my YouTube channel. Yeah, I like taking extremely cutting edge technology, amazing, almost like magic, although it's got a little ways to go. Almost like magic, cutting edge technology to generate what looks like 60s and 70s grainy, scratchy stock footage. Like it does film grain real well.
Yeah.
But
and if you had used stock footage, no one would complain about it. But because you use this incredible technology, everyone will complain about it.
Right. People are ridiculous with it, with AI complaints.
It's just another tool. Get with the program.
Anyway.
Like you guys. Let's go.
On that note, I have a fight to go have. No. All right. I was debating how far to take that. I was like, I probably shouldn't make a domestic violence joke before I jump off stream.
Well, you know how funny those are.
I will.
Yeah, by the way, if there's domestic violence in this house, I'm not the one winning. Help. All right. On that note, have a good weekend, everybody. It's not funny. It's fine.